AJ, always bring in a new drink to try, and today we got this. So shout out to Cascade Ice, organic pomegranate mango. This is your first time to try this one, right?
Yeah, I haven't even tried it yet. Let's see.
Okay, the first sip. Here it goes. And I can hear it. Sounds good.
It's like
It's refreshing.
it is 0 calories, so it's not sweet. It's like sparkly water.
Yeah, I get down with that though.
But it's not bitter like other ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somehow they took away the bitterness.
Yeah, sometimes the mineral water is just a little too bitter.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick this on the FM. If you're watching this, feel free to ask questions. Let me know where you're watching from. We're going to be talking about all things organic lawn care and all things. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. It's just after 9 o'clock on a beautiful Monday, and I got AJ with Hippie Fertilizing here in studio. What's up, AJ? How's it going?
Oh, man, it's going great. Thank God the weather's been beautiful. We actually got a little cool down over the weekend. So, and it did two things. It made life outside a little more enjoyable before we get into summer, but it also slightly slowed down the raising of the soil temperatures.
Which is good, right?
Well, when we want our grass to grow like crazy and all come back super green and thriving, we do want warmer soil temperatures. But overall, don't be sad, people. It's coming. I promise. We're in Texas.
Yes.
The heat is coming.
Yeah. It's been an interesting time for weather and everything else because we got through the freeze.
They have a lot to support themselves in the root systems. If you've ever ripped them up, they got huge nodules of like basically loads of resources to thrive on.
Yeah.
So yeah, those things will bounce back. There's a lot of stuff really that if you give it time and cut it back, it'll bounce back. But there's a lot that's not going to come back. There's a lot of palm trees that are going to be destroyed.
If those have been saved or if they're going to like later like bite the dust.
I mean, there's a good chance that if there's green coming out of the centers, out of, what does my buddy call them? Of course, when I think of important terms, right, it just
slips off the head.
Eludes me. The terminal bud, that's what it's called. If the terminal bud is shooting through the middle and green, most likely you're in good shape.
Okay.
And for the one time I might get on board with a fungicide, they say to use a copper fungicide on the top so that they're like the fungus doesn't overtake the top and rot it out. Because normally I'm not about a fungicide, people.
Right.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
But this may be one instance where I'd be like, copper fungicide for palm trees only for this instance.
Yeah.
Maybe a route that's going to increase the chances of your palm trees living.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And it's a special circumstance.
Yeah. You know, it's not a whole blanket, well, I'm just going to pre-treat for fungus and use a fungicide everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No, people, that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. So my friend Dr. Chapa, who comes in weekly, he had reached out to me and said, hey, I need to get a hold of AJ. I got to have some work done and some other things, right? And so y'all talked, right?
Yeah, we did. Just for a moment. You know, he's kind of filling me out.
Yeah.
Because I could tell he's kind of serious about what he does. And he really appreciates, like, I don't talk about it enough maybe, but my urban meadow concept of like, hey, let the plants be plants. Like, we don't have to kill everything. I could tell he really resonated with that. Like he said his lawn wasn't looking so great before the freeze, but then after the freeze, because he had more weeds than other people, his lawn was green.
Yeah.
You know?
Green is green sometimes, right?
Hey, and it's better than dirt.
Yeah.
Right? People who have straight up mud pits are like, I would have anything right now over this.
Put rocks.
No.
And no rocks.
No rocks, please. We're trying to have plants. We're trying to support soil biology.
Okay, I will say this. So in my backyard, there's a portion that used to be like a flower bed, but the way that my yard drains and water pours off the roof of my house, we did replace a portion of it with just straight up rocks. Because everything was it would just get too wet. And so then they put in, they call it like French drains, I think, where the water kind of has a place to drain, but it just kept killing everything. So we took a portion of it and just made like a rock bed, and then where the water was hitting, and then we put the flower bed keeps going the other way.
No, I need to look up the term. There is a a thing you can do, especially if you know you got, say, like, let's call it valleys or something in your lawn in specific areas, and I've seen this done beautifully in pictures and stuff, where you put rocks and stuff to where it'll drain out. But the good thing is about doing it with a natural, like, rock bed is that it slows down the flow.
Okay.
So, because something I'm not a big fan of when it comes to French drains and drainage is, well, guess what? If you've experienced Harvey or any other time it floods real bad, once it gets up above your street, where's that water that you're trying to drain going to go? Mm-hmm. So when it gets really bad, we kind of help out the flooding in a sense because we got all these people with all this drainage just charging out into the streets to where our systems are getting even more overworked versus focusing on opening up that soil to where your soil can absorb it.
And the rainwater just absorbs into the soil, into the grass and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So a healthy lawn, right? Truly healthy lawn, that doesn't mean it's weed free, it means it's healthy. There's a difference. All right. If you come across common literature about it, if you look it up, it says that it will absorb up to 6 times more water than an unhealthy lawn. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. By some calculations I've come up with, your average 4,000 square foot lot, a healthy soil can absorb like 27,000 gallons of water. Multiply that times 10 and times 10 and times 10. How many homes are around here?
Right, there's a lot.
Yeah, so, we could reduce flooding by opening up our soils.
Have you considered, what if you went to like city council and you like made a presentation, said this is what we should be doing, even like the common areas where, the city has contracts or whatever to maintain stuff. It's like, well, there's all this land. If it was, more absorbing of water, that would fix a lot of our issues.
It really should, because it does help. There's one of my favorite books called The Soil Will Save Us. The lady talks about that over and over again, where different municipalities or cities, even states, have changed the way they do stuff in terms of, focusing on soil health. And it saved them millions of dollars because they, had cleaner water, didn't have to worry, like, God has so much to do, like preventing erosion, absorbing it, reducing the floods, how we filter our water, because there's a lot of junk in there that we put in there, So it makes impacts in so many different ways. Like, check this, man. Like, people, my dogs have allergies and stuff. Mm-hmm. Dude, you know how expensive it can be to take your dog to the vet?
Yeah, I don't have a dog for that reason.
Yeah, it's pricey, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then people are like, dude, I don't know what happened, but ever since you started fertilizing my lawn, my dog's skin cleared up. It's because all the killers and sides and stuff out there causes...
In the yard.
Eric, how you doing?
Yeah, we're having some fun. So we're live on KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. Right now it is 9:14 on a beautiful Monday, and it looks like it is gonna be an actual beautiful day because last week we had some interesting weather, like ups and downs and stuff like that. But it's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah,
it's spring. Well, last week was spring break for a lot of people, and I know it's like the time people are looking for things to do. They're trying to spend some more time outside, maybe revitalize their yard and just make it look nice and fresh after the freeze and everything else going on.
And get some new plantings.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you do? I know you like
mutilated them, put them in the ground, put some Microlife Ultimate, put some little bit of soil in there, hippie juiced them. Took them 6 months, but going from bare sticks that didn't have much to go on to being full of green, healthy foliage, they came back. So, don't ask me necessarily what I would do, you guys, but what I would have y'all do if you're doing new plantings and stuff, okay? Quality compost is like plant insurance.
Okay.
All right? Dig a hole that's a little bit bigger than your plant. Put some quality compost in there, some like Microlife Ultimate, some Ocean Harvest. Even if you want to seriously, like, you can't find Microlife products, you want to save some money, a good garden bed mix, like Jardinias has one. EDS Landscape has, that's where I get all my soils from. I think, honestly, for our whole area, EDS Landscape has some of the best soil mixes around. So soil's a big deal when you're doing new planting. A lot of people are like, hey, man, I threw it in the ground, it didn't live. Well, it's because we're in Texas. You just put it in a clay pot.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to put amendments in that clay pot, and soil, sand, stuff like that. It's one of them. But the other thing I'm getting at is the purple label Briar Rabbit molasses. Okay, so where we're going to go with this next is the most common thing besides how do you kill the weeds. Okay, you know it's my favorite term.
Yeah.
As well, what are the fertilizer ratios, right? What are the big three?
I know phosphorus is one.
Yeah. Let's just say NPK.
NPK.
Right?
Yeah.
NPK. Well, a lot of people know that you need iron to green stuff up, right?
Okay.
Do you know that you need calcium?
I didn't know that.
Do you know you need zinc?
I didn't know that either.
Magnesium. B vitamins.
I didn't know that one.
Right. Okay. So more than NPK.
Okay. So there's other stuff that goes into it.
Lots more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who was that? Was it important? Was that a business call?
It may have been. I don't know, but you know,
they can call back.
I apologize. I'm gonna give you a call back.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a very inexpensive thing to do when you're putting in plantings or new sod. This works excellent for new sod.
Mm-hmm.
Is molasses.
Molasses.
You can get any kind of molasses from the grocery store. It's going to work. But the best kinds are the Purple Label Briar Rabbit Blackstrap molasses, or HEB has Wholesome brand organic molasses. Ooh, boy, those two things like plant magic in a bottle, but you would never know. You go to the syrup section in the grocery store.
What is it that's inside of there that makes that work?
Those things that I just talked about.
Okay.
Iron, magnesium, calcium, manganese, zinc, even potassium, right? But then what they also do, because there's sugars in there, is they feed microbes, and microbes help break down other minerals and produce enzymes and do all these things that help encourage biological responses in plants that give back to the bacteria in turn, but you need them both, right? And so you feed the microbes that'll feed the plants. So then the plants will say, hey, I like what's going on here. I'm going to give them something back. And they give them something back in the form of what's called exudates.
Okay, what is that?
Exudates, I like to call it like basically it's little food packets for the microbes. All right? It's excretions. It's often just different forms of carbon and stuff that like the microbes want. So they trade off all day long. Right? Something else I read this morning. This cold freeze. Have any of y'all ever heard of molybdenum?
I haven't, no.
Probably not, right?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I mean, and you didn't really think of zinc being as something plants need, right?
When I think of zinc, I think of like Centrum Silver from A to Zinc.
Yeah.
That, like a multivitamin, dude, that's what I think of.
Okay, you know, we need that stuff, right?
Yeah.
For all kinds of reasons. Well, plants need the exact same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We don't live on nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Although we have nitrates in our food, we need phosphorus. We need potassium. Potassium is responsible for a lot of like responses, I think, in our nervous system.
Okay.
Right, along with magnesium. Well, it's responsible for similar type stuff and a lot of cell structure growth. But you can't make all these cells, like healthy cell structure, and do all these things if you don't have your A to zinc.
A to zinc.
You know, it's a lot more than NPK.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
wait, first of all, what book is that?
Oh, thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
This is Teaming with Microbes. All right. The Organic Gardener's Guide to Optimizing Plant Nutrition. I think of it as the ultimate like nutrient reference guide for what stuff really does. Okay, because I tried to look up like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium online, when I look stuff up, I ask it in a few different ways. I read through a bunch of different stuff because that's how I've come across all this information. You can't just ask the basic question. And most of the time in lawn care, whatever question you ask, you need to just learn to ask it a way different way because you're going to get basic answers. Well, add nitrogen. Treat for this. Put some pre-emergent down. No. We'll ask different questions to get better answers.
Okay.
Anyway, so, told you about molybdenum, right?
Molybdenum.
Let's check this out. Molybdenum, MO, is necessary for the synthesis of organic phosphorus compounds once phosphorus enters the plant. Also, while not directly related to cellular nutrition, molybdenum is needed in order for Rhizobia and Frankia bacteria to fix nitrogen in the root nodules of legumes. Molybdenum is mobile, as evidenced by the chlorosis that develops in older leaves as this limiting nutrient is moved to new growing tissues. Once the symptoms of too little molybdenum is a buildup, one of the symptoms of too little molybdenum is buildup of nitrate. This in turn causes leaves to curl, a symptom called whiptail. That's something I really didn't cross my mind, but I see that in plants, the curling all the time. So I'm thinking there's different things that can cause that. And unfortunately, a lot of nutrient deficiencies, as you will read through here over time, look like an iron deficiency. So it's not always an iron deficiency.
So yeah, it's something else that it's dealing with, and we just think it's an iron deficiency, or you think that's what it is.
Or lack of nitrogen.
Okay.
Or the silliest thing that I hear sometimes is, it's the weeds taking all the nutrients from the grass. That's not how that works.
That's what I would think. Because it's like, okay, it's just taking everything and just kind of overgrowing.
No. Now, in some cases, you get weeds and stuff that will completely cover grass. Yeah, if it's not getting sunlight and stuff like that, sure, pull it out. Take it off of that grass because it needs sunlight to do what it needs to do. But oftentimes those weeds are feeding other microbes to help us create topsoil, because none of us have topsoil. It was all scraped away, then they put clay, then they put sand, and then they put grass and say, boom. And then you heard on the radio on another station, put pre-emergent down and some ultra fabulous phosphorus stuff, whatever.
Yeah, not this radio station.
No.
We didn't say that.
Not at all. So, another thing that is actually super common in plants, but not very much talked about, okay? You ever heard of boron?
I have heard of boron.
Yeah? Not just moron.
I have. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, okay. What's boron?
Boron. Or borat,
Yeah.
Is a component in cell walls where it connects the carbohydrate chains. It is necessary for the formation of pollen tubes, and thus pollen doesn't form properly without this nutrient. Boron also plays a role in balancing the amounts of sugar versus starch in a plant, and it is involved in the translocation of both throughout the plant. So translocation of both sugar and starch throughout the plant. Boron also helps transport potassium ions across the cell membrane and thus helps to regulate the opening and closing of leaf stomata. This nutrient is usually taken up as boric acid and uses 3 different transport mechanisms to cross cellular membranes: diffusion, facilitative transport, and active transport. Boron is the only mineral nutrient that does not have an ion to move into plant cells. Once incorporated, boron is not mobile in plants because it readily bonds to sugar molecules. Symptoms of boron deficiency include damage at the growing tips and problems with flower and fruit formation. Would have never thought of that, huh?
Yeah, no. And I guess the thing that I heard in there was potassium. Mm-hmm. It just talks about, so there's the 3, but that's what it kind of does, right?
Yeah, boron helps transport potassium ions across the cell membrane.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter how much potassium you're putting down. If you need it, maybe it needs it because it really needs boron to help move it through the plant.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, well, AJ, do you do soil testing? No, I don't. But I do know that if you give it the right stuff, okay, in a balance, nature has a really good way of working itself out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Don't overload it with nitrogen or potassium or phosphorus, right? Give it a whole good blend like a salad with a couple pieces of chicken in there.
But can't we just cover it in ranch and still call it healthy? I think sometimes that's what people want, right?
I mean, I like some raspberry vinaigrette personally, but you know, we can throw in a little bit of ranch, okay? It's not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm bringing this up because I really want us to all get past like NPK. You know, it's such a big deal. And yeah, they're macronutrients. They're needed in higher amounts, but that doesn't mean that they are that other things aren't equally important.
So pretty much, if you find, you know, a nice organic fertilizer or whatever you need to put on there, and then you also team that up with some like molasses, you kind of got everything covered for the most part, right?
For the most part, yes. And then proper practices, you know. Well, I say it every time, but obviously I haven't said it enough. Mow your grass higher.
How high again?
4 inches or more if you got St. Augustine.
Yeah.
If you got Bermuda, you can like maybe work it down to 3, but still we're in Texas where we got really compacted clay soils. So the higher you allow your grass to grow, the healthier the root systems are going to be. And it's challenging for us sometimes to have really healthy root systems because of our naturally compacted soils. It's got to work harder to get down in there.
And when you say, you know, people are burning their grass, is that what you mean, that they're cutting it too low?
That's one of the ways.
Yeah. What are some other ways that people will do that?
Over-fertilization. You put down some, like a high nitrogen product at the wrong time, and don't water it. And please, for the love of nature and for preventing eutrophication, don't fertilize right before the rain, people. It even says on most packages, if not all of them, don't do it before rain because you're encouraging nitrogen leaching to go out into our waterways, which promotes eutrophication. You know,
you talked about burning the grass, and that reminded me, I used to have an old neighbor, and they were fertilizing their yard, and, you know, it has a nice big pusher to spread it out, and you spill a portion, and it literally will burn the grass. There's a patch where the grass just dies, and that's what you're talking about, like over-fertilizing.
Yeah, and over-fertilizing changes the pH a little bit. So, like, again, nature does a good job if we support it to balance itself out. But over time, we you know, do these same practices. Well, I follow this schedule. Oh, I hear that a lot. I follow this schedule, but my lawn doesn't look good. And so we're creating an accumulation of salts, right, that also help to, I like to call it like a chemical compaction. You know, we got clay soils already. We chemically compact our soils with more salt because that's what the carrier is in a lot of these nitrate products. So yeah, it's like, you know, we compound these issues often. So there's a point where we get like that Red Bull crash.
Yeah.
You know?
It's real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about energy drinks earlier, and again, trying this Cascade ice. But yeah, it's just a little bit different. And sometimes when you try something organic or something natural and you've been having it the other way for so long, it feels like a big change. But then once you realize, well, there's the benefits for it, it's better, there's not going to be a crash, it's less caffeine, it's natural caffeine. You know, there's a whole, and it kind of relates back to the fertilizers and just what people are used to.
Right. So here's another thing. People often say they think their pool is like messing up their grass, but what I see all the time is like their grass around their pools is usually amazing, right? Because guess what? Your grass or your soil, your plants also need that most people would never think about.
Is it chlorine? Just because I think about chlorine in a pool.
That's right.
Really?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Check this out. Okay. Chlorine is a relative newcomer to the list of essential nutrients. They've discovered that it's necessary for the operation of stoma and in maintaining the electrical balance of ions. There's a lot of electrical stuff going on in our bodies and in plants and with nutrients, and so we need so much more than NPK to make it happen.
Including chlorine.
Including chlorine. Very tiny amounts, but very essential still to make the stuff happen.
Wow.
So, chlorine in its ionic form chloride is the counterbalance to potassium in operating stoma. If there isn't enough chloride, plants' tips wilt and turn bronze. They often appear molted with spots of chlorosis. Chlorine is not mobile in plants, so the newer leaves that show symptoms. It's the newer leaves that show symptoms. Too much chlorine causes yellowing of the leaf margins, and this does occur in older leaves. So it's kind of tough when, people say, well, can you just look at the plant and tell me what's wrong? Again, kind of like half of the problems with tons of nutrients look very similar, right? So again, give it a nice balance. Like the next time we come on, I'll have one of the products I've been using lately, testing it out, is some Nature's Creation 612. It's a plant-based fertilizer, has alfalfa meal, soybean meal, cotton seed meal, corn, and with a magnesium amino acid complex and calcium, which for our clay soils, magnesium and calcium are amazing, okay? They work with our clay soils to help open stuff up big time. But I had this funny thought, right? If I'm feeding it a plant-based fertilizer, then is my grass like a cannibal?
I knew where you were going with that, and I guess the answer is yes. It's the circle of life, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you think, too, it's using the same stuff to grow, so it's just getting the same stuff out of itself, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, alfalfa meal. I gave it a plant-based diet. Or my grass is vegan.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess everything that's in there is what it needs, right? That's what it's made of, so it's just like broken down.
And if it's in healthy foods, it will it will do its own job, just like we do, right? But we can take all these vitamins. Oh, I need vitamin C. I need this vitamin. I need that vitamin. And I'm sure like maybe Dr. Chapa would be like, well, is your body really absorbing that?
Right.
Or is it in the right balance?
Well, one thing that he talks about, and I'm kind of seeing the relation, is that vegetables and crops and plants that we eat today don't have the same nutrients that they had 100 years ago. He says, like, a cup of spinach back, 100 years ago, you have to eat like 60 to get like the same nutrients from like today that you got back then. And that's just because we robbed our soil of all those nutrients, and we used pesticides and other stuff to spray on there, and it's kind of transformed it.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Big time. And you know what else it transforms? Our microbiome, our gut bacteria. So all the junk we put on lawns transforms that bacteria. So it doesn't work as efficiently for you.
Yeah.
That's
crazy to think about. Well, that, whenever he always shares that, it's just like, okay, a cup of spinach. Yeah, I'd eat a cup of spinach, but if it's not even doing anything, that's why you always have to supplement with, vitamins and some other things. And then it's like, well, where are those vitamins grown? What plants are they from? Is it natural? And it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So
that's something I kind of think a little bit more about. Like, where does the products in Centrum come from?
Exactly. Yeah. It's cooked up in a lab or something like that. It's
is it sodium hypochlorite in the chlorine that helps the plant in small amounts?
That's a great question.
That's a very good question. But I'm glad, okay, Carl, you said something about sodium. Got a little bit something about sodium, I think right here. So, according to some scientists, sodium is not an essential element because it's not needed for all plants to grow. However, in C4 plants, whatever C4 plants are, which include sugarcane, maize, sorghum, and I can't say this word. Sorry, guys.
Just butcher it. Just do it.
Amaranth.
Amaranth.
I'm going to try that. Sodium can help support osmotic activities in cells, drawing water into cells when there are not enough potassium ions to do the job. Other cations, such as those of the element rubidium, yeah, can do this as well. That is the part of the reason why many do not consider sodium an essential element. There is another element that can do the same job. But, we need a little bit of salt to make things happen, right? So I find it fascinating that there's really so much more that we need, but yet you ask most people, what does your lawn need? They're going to say nitrogen. And really, they don't even mention phosphorus and potassium that much. They mention iron because, to everyone, it's nitrogen and iron that makes things green. Mm-hmm. And it's true, but we need a lot more for those two components to work its best.
Right, and they will turn your grass green, but it won't have your soil performing at its peak, right?
Right, or you basically, one way to look at it too is like it won't have maximum protection. Like a healthy immune system. Yeah. You need all these components so it can protect itself the best from diseases, pests, hot weather, cold weather. I know we just went through that freeze. Sorry, folks, not much was protecting us from that no matter what.
Right.
But under normal Houston, Texas conditions, really healthy soil will protect us from loads of stuff, like our average cold climates, and most importantly that we do deal with all the time is our heat. Mm-hmm. So just some things to think about when we're thinking about how do we feed the lawn. A lot more than NPK out there.
Mm-hmm. And what's the name of that book again?
The name of this book is Teeming with Nutrients, The Organic Gardener's Guide to Optimizing Plant Nutrition by Jeff Lowenfels, who's actually now a board member of one of my favorite organizations, OBA, Organic Horticultural Benefits Alliance, based out of Houston.
Okay, cool.
I've actually got to see this guy speak before.
He's local or not?
He's not. He's actually from Canada. But I've seen him speak locally, and he's a part of the board now of a local organization.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Reach out to him. Let's bring him in studio one day where you can just talk to him, see if he wants to come in here.
I could try.
Or we could even zoom him in.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to see what I can do.
Yeah. Let me see. Maybe I'll reach out to him and be like, I got questions.
We need
questions. We need the answers.
Yeah.
So what I liked is how you describe this. A lot of times, whenever you're looking up information, it's so basic on the internet. There's a ton of information out there, so you don't know, like, am I in the right spot? Is this telling me what I need to know? And so what this book does is takes a deeper dive into the specifics, and it kind of gives more of an explanation.
Way more of a breakdown, right? Instead of nitrogen makes plants grow.
Yeah.
Cool, great. Let's go past that.
Green makes green. Sometimes like I enjoy that. Like where if it's just like, I don't even want to know why. But then sometimes whenever you do want the answer, it's like, well, I want to know the answer. Why? Yeah. And then if you can't find it, then it's no good.
Well, my grandmother always said, it's not the person who knows how. It's the person who knows why.
And in the Matrix, they also did say that ignorance is bliss. Like, if you want to be stuck in the Matrix, you remember that?
I don't remember it, but I can imagine it for sure. Yeah.
Okay, right now it's 9:40. This is KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM, hanging out with AJ, Hippie Fertilizing. AJ, how can people get a hold of you? What services do you offer? And what kind of things you got going on this week?
Gonna try and be getting out there, do some lawn top dressings for some customers. Hopefully we don't get any rain. Gonna be out there spreading fertilizer. Still keeping on with the little experiments here and there to try and bring you the best of what's out there and the best practices on how to truly get your lawn green. Because that's what I do. I bring lawns back, and I do it by foliar applications with my sprayer. I put down granular products for you. I can bring the products that I sell on my website to your door and just deliver it to you. Because I like to make it simple for people. What do I get? Hey, honestly, if I don't sell it on my website, there's a few things I don't have on there, but what I have on my website to be delivered, that stuff is good for your grass, guaranteed.
Yeah, you put your name on it. And it's it has that Hippie Fertilizing guarantee, that AJ stamp of approval.
That's right.
This is what you would use.
Hippie certified.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I got a call the other day from You said something about, I'm trying to think the way you worded this. You said to truly get your grass green, there's a company that kind of has a name similar to that. And I got a call on my cell phone the other day, and it was a Houston, Texas number. So I picked it up. I was like, hello, hi, blah, 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 so fast. And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry, who are you with? I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not going to talk to you. Thank you for calling.
Well, I got asked this question the other day, right? What's the difference between me and the other guys? Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, if y'all have other experiences, feel free to let me know. But to my knowledge, it's often like a treat and defeat mentality. Okay, 9 out of 10 times, if I were to tell a customer, hey, I know how to treat all your weeds, everyone jumps on it. But guess what? The whole mentality of I'm going to treat and defeat your weeds is where a lot of our problems come from. Herbicide damage does not support grass growth, okay? Mm-hmm. Feeding soil promotes grass growth. And that's how it's different. So if you want to find out more about what I do, go to hippiefertilizing.com. You can even check out my YouTube channel if you search Hippie Fertilizing. And on my number, 832-277-3710. Call the real grass hero.
AJ, what if I see a bag and it says 3-in-1? What should I do?
Run.
It says 3-in-1, then you need to run, right?
Yeah. If it says it kills bugs, kills weeds, and somehow feeds your lawn, that's not accurate. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be probably causing more damage in the future, I guess, or even in the
immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, dude. You don't know how many lawns I've fixed because people put down a $30 bag.
Yeah,
it's not good. Okay, feed the soil first. Support soil biology, and if you just want to start out and you're like, I don't have money for all this, or I don't know if it works, go spray some molasses on everything. Go get some hippie juice. Let the juice loose. All right? $34.95 a bottle, man.
Yeah, you could even do a test, right? Like, hey, let me put it on this side of the yard or over here, right? And then maybe do nothing, or I don't know, maybe even put like another, the one from the 3-in-1 and see what happens.
Oh, totally. Hey, that's a solid one. If I don't know, just because I never want to encourage anybody to use that. Don't use that, okay? Like he said, like I'm going to say again, if it says 3-in-1, you better run, son.
Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
No, just, man, everyone, don't freak out. It's grass, all right? We can get it healthy. You can get it healthy. Let's support our environment. Let's support our micro ecosystems to make a healthier macro ecosystem, because we all share the air, the soil, and the water, all right? So let's do something clean. I invite you all to help me in making a positive impact on our environment.
Thank you for hanging out today, AJ. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Gardy, for having me.
It's KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.